So I will talk about from this lens, this engineering lens. And I want to emphasize that action, which is this topic, is not a concept, but a commitment, a real commitment. That would be one sentence, Lincoln, we could recall from what I will say in the next 4 or 5 minutes. Um, so how do we move from knowing to doing? And I'll take my couple of years, if not decades, of experience in maybe almost 40 countries, most from not from the Western countries, but global South, in making projects that would improve infrastructure, minimize risks, maximizing sustainability, or improving resilience. So as of now, and I'm still learning, I would think that related to how we materialize action, there are three lessons I've learned, and I want to share that. First, talking about science, we have talked a lot about science this week. So no matter how brilliant the science is, or it becomes fruitful only when it's shared. And I'm not talking about sharing between us, between colleagues, within our silos. I'm talking about sharing it to others, those that will be using or impacted by this. So sharing, first thing. Second thing, it's I would call that compassion. No matter what is, how deep it is, it's directionless without a system. It becomes change. So compassion becomes something. Change only when it's channeled. We can be very compassionate for these two young farmers here, but if we want to transform our compassion into something, we need to take care also of how we can help their parent. We can make sure they're compensated correctly for what they're doing each and every day, rather than using the regular, which makes them having a difficult life. Second thing, compassion channeled. Third thing, collaboration. No matter how ambitious it is, and we have a lot of ambition in collaboration here, it becomes transformation when it's anchored in a shared system or a shared infrastructure. We need to find ways for this collaboration to extend beyond that. So if we want to help these elderly people in their local communities, we need to organize. We need to make a system to make that happening. And we've seen failures on that front in the pandemic a few years ago. So the other point I want to talk about is I would say one thing that happens a lot is our systemic failure to act in crises. So to convert this capacity to see something happening and to convert that into action. So we know what needs to be done. And we have many solutions, but we fail to do it and to materialize this solution. I've seen, talking about the action side, the project management background I have, three things that are lacking and that are becoming the bottleneck of transforming what happens in the messaging we're receiving into real action. So the first thing is commitment. Commitment means duration in action. So it's not just a one day we see that unrest coming or this storm arriving. No, it's a commitment on the duration, on the long term. It's absolutely critical. Coherence on the goals and strategies. We don't fail because we disagree. We don't fail because we fragment or divide. Um, we fail because we fragment or divide. It's not the disagreement the problem. It's sometimes even fruitful to have disagreement in argument and we discuss and we improve. It's when we stop listening, even those who are not thinking like us, then we start to fail. And finally, coordination. Any action needs coordination between actors. We too often operate in silos, as I said earlier, and that's important to get out of this trend. But there is good news. So if I'm translating that into a story, as we have listened to some story this morning, there are good stories coming out, sorry, from the pandemic we're in. One of this big story I would like us to emphasize is we've learned that science, compassion, and global collaboration can really work well together and achieve really great things. The
30
WHN
seconds.
is a good example. So it has happened in existing organization and even in new organization like in the WHN. So it's having and convening between people from so many diverse backgrounds and coming from different cultures, different expertise, and we're able in quickly to make this science and compassion transform in action through global collaboration. So I don't want to talk about the other things that there have been talked a lot in the last few days, but the point is there are good stories to talk about, even in the pandemic. Another thing I want to emphasize on is we've talked about respirators earlier. That's another one that we could talk about. It's something that was not discussed at all in the general public, and it's now discussed. So I want to give us a challenge. I see 5 things that could be converted in principle, essentially. First thing I would say, um, we need to name the invisible, then measure it. We don't manage and we don't organize when we don't see things. Whether it's aerosol transmission or civil unrest, we need to shine a light. We need to translate science into visible things. And we had experience of that as well. That's another good story in the pandemic. People came up with the idea that we could push for measuring CO2 or PM 2.5, and then people would see that the quality of their air was that, in fact, it's like invisible around us, but they see the impact and they can see what's happening in real time. So that's an example of tangible transformation of the invisible into visible. Second thing, we need to connect expertise to lived experience. We need to connect people that are living the situation, the struggle, with the expert. It's absolutely important that they're exchanging together. We need to build coalition before crises. It's not when the crisis starts, when the floods arrive, or when the wildfires are coming. We need what we call radical readiness. We need to always be preparing. And then we need to move at the speed of trust. Here, speed of trust means making space for the difference, translating, convening, respecting people. That's absolutely important for the people to want to collaborate, to be part of the action. And then always leave a blueprint, reproducible, scalable, open source. It needs to be reproduced if you want that to be used.
Stephane,
That's my last slide. I just want us to build platforms that works even when governments stall, and and make engineering of this future. I'm talking about not just for engineers here, the future that honor every life. Let's keep building. That's finishing.